Hello YouTube, Gamer Ninja here, and welcome to another Deck Garage. In this we're going to be talking about, I'm going to be showcasing my personal favorite deck. I call it the Gusto Colleseum. It's basically a Gusto lockdown stun type of thing. There are some things that you can change about it. It's a really flexible deck. You don't need to run exactly this build, but this is the build that I've sort of been trying out and I've had a lot of fun with. Now, why is it called the Gusto Colleseum? Well, it runs Kaiser Colleseum. Now, if you don't know what this card does, look it up. And it's just a card that creates so much pressure. Against anything not named Boojins, you've basically screwed them over completely. Boojins don't really care because they basically rely only on one monster anyway. Namely Yamato, and they can basically win the game if they get Yamato out. But all in all, this card is ridiculous. I've been saying that it's gonna become popular as the meta becomes more stun based, and lo and behold, I made the right call. As the meta slows down, Kaiser Colleseum becomes way more viable because all the other explosive decks are still around, but some of the stronger decks are now actually slower deck types, like Boojins, that can make really good use of Kaiser Colleseum. Now, Gustas are a very, very, very fun deck type for me. They're my personal favorite, and they're very defensively oriented. You'll see in a moment. But let's get right down to the deck list. To open up, we run 2 Calm Serenity of Gusto. Some people would say to run 3. I think 3 is overkill, and I think 2 is just plenty. 2 gives me enough consistency to search it out while not having 3 turn 1. Because if she's in your hand, while it's fine, you don't need more than 1 on the field at a time. For her effect, once per turn, you can shuffle 2 Gusto monsters from your graveyard into the main deck and draw 1 card. Important thing, because it says you have to shuffle them into the main deck, you can't return synchros back to the extra deck. They have to be sent to the main deck. But still, she offers consistency, lets you draw a card, and it lets you reuse your Gusto loop, and I'll get into that in a bit. She's also a level 4 wind type monster, so if you manage to get both of them out for whatever reason, you can pull out a Lightning Chidori or Lightning Plover. Why did they change the name to that? But it's a really good cheap beater that just causes deal disruption for the opponent. I really like it. You probably shouldn't do that too often, but every now and then it helps for your push to game. So always good to have that option. Next, we run 3 Parika Lineage of Gusto, or Descendant of Gusto, or Gusto, whichever pronunciation. I switch on and off between them. This card single-handedly put Gustos back into the eyes of players as a semi-viable option. It's sort of like their own wolf bark. You get to, when this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you can target 1 wind tuner monster in your graveyard, special summon that target in face-up defense position. Its effects are negated, and you cannot special summon out any other monsters, except for wind-type monsters. That is not a drawback. Well, it is a drawback, but it's not a huge drawback considering all your best monsters are wind-type. And, yeah, that drawback is completely mitigated by the fact that you're probably going to be using this to bring out your ace monster. Like, it's a 1-card ace monster. It's basically what this thing does. And unfortunately for you, your ace monster is a wind type. So, that drawback, not a problem. Just keep it in mind, so if you're trying to make a play, just remember, hey, I have to do a wind type play here. So just sort of keep it in the back of your head. Finally, we get to the Gusto loop here. We run 3 Gusto Guldos, because it's the best recruiter out of the entire set. It's a level 3 tuner monster, which works really well with this girl here to bring out your best monster. And when it's destroyed, just destroyed, it doesn't have to be face up or destroyed by battle or whatever, you can special summon out 1 level 2 or lower Gusto monster. 1 level 2 or lower Gusto monster, you said? Well, let's look at Winda. Winda's probably the weakest of the 3 recruiters. I just run 3 because being able to potentially block 9 attacks is hilarious. Although you could drop her and replace you, only run 2 and do something involving that. I've seen that work too. Uh, she's a level 2 psychic type monster, so that's a bit of a handy little fact. And when this card is destroyed by a battle with an opponent's attacking monster and sent to your graveyard, you can special summon 1 Gusto tuner monster from your deck. Now, it's important to note that because of how the card is worded, you can't creature swap Winda and then destroy it with the opponent's monster, even though it's their card. It has to be their attacking monster, so they have to be the one to initiate the attack onto it. So it's a little bit of a drawback. It's still really, really good. So it's a nice card. I run 3, you can run 2, probably sub it out for something else. Not sure what. Maybe more back row hate. That Mirror Force wouldn't be a bad card to throw in her place. But still at least run 2. You want the loop. And the third piece of the loop is Gusto Eagle, a level 1 tuner monster. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower non-tuner Gusto monster from your deck. Now, some targets for this. Her, which means her effect then goes off, which lets you get another search. Her, which lets you recycle the other loop. And then you can even go into this girl again, so you can block another attack and get another search off. So the general loop goes Winda to search out Guldo, which then searches out Eagle, which then searches out Winda. But the important part is, whenever you end the loop, you want to end with a tuner monster, and not with Winda on the board. Because if you end with a tuner monster, you can either do a synchro play, or you could do a suicide slam strategy to get a card that you need. And that's important for playing against Gustos too. If you're attacking against Gustos, I personally found, make them have a Winda on the board rather than an Eagle or a Guldo. Because then their pressure is completely negated by the fact that Winda can't just suicide slam to become a tuner, basically. It's a bit complicated. Well, actually, it's not complicated. It just requires a different thought process. So you just want to try to end with the ability to do a synchro summon the next turn. That's the easiest way to think of it. And then, for the final monster, I run 1 Karibons. Why do I want to run Karibons? Well, there's this card here. His name's Beals, King of the Dark Dragons. It's not too hard to bring out in this deck. And if you can bring out Beals, you should probably run a Beals. It's just too good of a card. Anyway, next up, we have 2 creature swaps. You can run 3. I think that's a little bit too much, but you can run 3 if you really want to. This card completely messes up so many people. Summon a Guldo, creature swap there, like Judgment Dragon, slam into your Guldo and proceed to get a search off of it, and then it just opens up so many plays. And it benefits off of it, too. There's actually, I don't run it, there's another card called Reese the Whirlwind of Gusto, which is basically a level 5 1900 point monster that does what Creature Swap does in the Gusto archetype. It's a tribute monster, so I don't run it, but you could run one if you really wanted to. 1 Dark Hole. We actually don't mind big field wipes too much, because we have Guldo. So long as you don't be retarded with Dark Hole, you should always benefit off of Dark Hole. It's a staple for a reason, people. 1 Soul Charge. It's Soul Charge. It's busted. I've made so many comebacks with this card. It's kind of ridiculous. The whole you don't get your battle phase is kind of mitigated in this deck. Yeah, it's not too terrible here. 1 Contact with Gusto. This is basically filler. I basically threw 1 in just because of that little extra bit of destruction is always nice. It lets you recycle your Gusto loop, lets you destroy anything on the field, or any card your opponent controls, I'm sorry. So it just is a really nice card. 3 Mystical Space Typhoons. It's MST. What more is there to say? 3 Emergency Teleport. Hey, guess what? This girl's a Psychic type. Guess what? When she's special summoned, you get another Gusto type. Guess what? That's an easy Synchro summon. Yeah, run 3 of these things. There's no reason not to. At all. Um, it's pretty insane. Yeah, it's emergency teleport. I'm really surprised it's at 3. Uh, and it even lets you search out Karibon, so you can have some fun with that. And finally, the last spell cards are Kaiser Colleseum. This card will let you basically win games. It lets you win against so many matchups. It's ridiculous. It's probably my favorite spell card, other than Creature Swap. To Battle Mania. Now, this is what I was talking about when I said that Soul Charge's drawback is kind of mitigated by this card. It forces the opponent to attack. And, basically, well, I guess I'll show it now. This is your boss monster. This is Freeze. Freeze will make you into a king. And, what Freeze does is, if anyone knows what U-Bell does, it makes all your Gustos basically into miniature U-Bells. Whenever you would take battle damage involving Gustos, the opponent takes it instead. And it's undestroyable by battle. So you get this thing out, and then you summon a little bird, and then you use Battle Mania during the opponent's turn to force them to keep attacking you. It's a really nasty little trick. It basically forces the opponent to either figure out, force a play out, which could be detrimental to them. It also forces them to attack, which actually I could probably run a Mirror Force because of that, and it wouldn't be too terrible. It basically forces a reaction from the opponent, or they're going to eat a lot of damage in this deck. It's a really, really fun card in this deck. So, not a whole lot else to say about it. 3 traps done. I would normally run Decree if I didn't have 9 other trap cards. Being able to just swing into stuff when your opponent has a huge monster. And, yeah. I've actually done some pretty fun stuff involving Creature Swap, me having a Freeze out, and Creature Swapping my Beals, and then just slamming stuff into it, because the opponent will take damage, meaning Beals will just keep getting stronger, so they'll keep taking more and more damage. And the opponent could have stopped that if I didn't have traps done. This card lets you end the game when you want to end it, so it's a really good card. You might not need 3, I just like always having it in my hand, so I personally run 3. Again, you could sub this out for Mirror Force or whatever you want. It's basically, just make sure you run at least 2. 2 is the bare minimum here. 2-dimensional prison. This is your out against everything that attacks, namely this fucker. Beals is unfair. This lets you screw over Beals. 2 breakthrough skill. Again, lets you get over things like Beals, lets you do a whole bunch of stuff. Run this over Effect Veiler unless you're running Chaos stuff. That's my personal motto. It's just a really, really good card. Lets you negate effects. Not a whole lot else to say. And then finally, Compulse, Solemn, and Bottomless. It's Compulse, Solemn, and Bottomless. If I have to explain why you're running those, you probably shouldn't play this game and probably go back to playing Solitaire. But next up, we finally get to the extra deck. 1 is Beals. Beals is a win condition. You drop this thing with a Kaiser Colleseum, you've probably just won. Yeah, that's basically it. You drop this thing, you've probably just won unless the opponent has an out to it immediately. Next up, we have Thought Roller Archfiend. You probably won't bring this guy out too much, but you do use a lot of Psychic types, so it's nice to have that extra protection. 1 Scrap Dragon. It's Scrap Dragon. You could tribute Guldo for it. You can even target your own Beals with it, and then destroy stuff relatively for free, or at least getting a net, make the opponent go -1 versus just being a net 0, because you'll lose a monster, but you'll replace it. It opens up a lot of fun stuff. 1 Stardust Dragon, because Stardust. 1 Digusto Eagles. Now this card's a bit odd. I personally don't run it too much. I'll be right back, guys. Sorry. Hello? Hold on 1 second. Alright, guys, I'm so sorry about that. I had a phone call. Again, not exactly professional, but, oh well. The next card is Digusto Eagles. It's a level 7, 2600 point beat stick, basically. And you can banish 1 card, wind type monster from your graveyard to destroy 1 face down card your opponent controls. during the end phase. It's not a terrible card, but you kind of like having all your stuff in the graveyard so you can shuffle it around with Calm and your contract with Gusto and all that stuff, and its targets for Parika. I basically use it as my way of running over really annoying stuff like Stardust Dragon and such. But still, every now and then I'll pull out that other effect and it comes in handy. So it's always good to know that type of stuff. The next level 7 is Moonlight Rose Dragon. This card is basically an off switch. Your opponents basically can't do a whole lot with regarding to special summon. Yeah, it's also a really good counter to this fucker. Yeah, not a whole lot else to say. This card is a really good card. Psych Conductor Behemoth, or HCS Simuth. This card is an out again to this guy, and anything else that's really, really annoying. But, if you can summon a level 6, you're bringing out this thing. If I haven't emphasized this enough, Digestus Freeze is your win condition. There is very few reasons why you should bring out, HTS over this. Every now and then there might be that one situation, but 99 out of 100 times you're bringing out Freeze. It just creates so much pressure. It gets you a search from your graveyard, and it basically puts the opponent into, holy shit, that's a Freeze, and I'm gonna die because they're going to go Angry Bird suicide mode on me. Okay, how do I get rid of Freeze? Crap, I can't get rid of Freeze. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to eat some damage. Whatever. And it forces the opponent again to make rash plays. If they're not able to immediately respond, they're probably gonna start to panic. So, yeah, this card though is handy for getting around some annoying stuff. So, it's really nice. Next, we have Armades, Keeper of Illusions. It's Armades. It's off switch to the entire opponent's back row and monster effects when it attacks. Really good card. Mistbird Colleseum, it's a level 3 synchro with 2300 defense and the ability to shut off effects and drop attack to 0. You're not going to use him too much, but he is handy to have. One Digusto Guldos, it's free destruction and free graveyard researching, and it's a level 5. It's really easy to bring out. From the card art, you can probably tell, Goldo plus Winda, it's really easy to pull. Yeah, it's a really cool card. Now, on to the XYZs. You're probably not going to use these guys too often, but it's useful to have. Totem Bird is really nice. You won't pull him out again too much, but he's a 1900 point beat stick that can negate stuff, so it's really, really nice. It helps you seal out a game, so just keep that in mind. One Lightning Chidori, again, it just creates pressure on the board, lets you return stuff from the opponent's field to the grave, or field to the top of the deck. You know, it's just a really, really fun card. It removes stuff on the field for relative ease, and then you just proceed to pummel their face in with a 1900 point beat stick. And finally, one Fortune Tune. Fortune Tune is an annoying little fucker. I love this little guy, though. He's really, really fun. I think he's better than Zen Mains, because he just recycles himself forever. Well, there's not a whole lot else to say about it. Let you recycle your Guldas, let you recycle your Parikas. It's a really nice card, and the 500 life point boost and the ability to be untargetable is really nice. So, again, I'm sorry about the phone call in the middle, guys, but that's the deck garage here. I hope you enjoyed, and please give it a shot and let me know what you think in the comments below. Hey, I got it right this time. But yeah, tell me what you think about this deck. It's a lot of fun. I recommend you give it a shot. And let me know if you want to see any other deck types, and I'll be happy to accommodate. Gamer Ninjas, signing out.